say return that. Bam, problem set 6. So why the hell did we just implement problem set 6 in C? Well, the reason that these associative arrays and languages like PHP and Ruby and Python exist is because of languages like C. And the fact that this is pretty darn easy to write is because we've stood on the shoulders of these previous languages. In fact, the PHP interpreter, the program that we're about to use to run this program, itself could be written in C. And the same thing for interpreters for other languages, because C, as we will see in a moment, is actually very high performing. And so actually, in the real world, when you really care about the performance of your code, as we did for problem set 6, you might want to sacrifice some rapidity of developer time, put more time, dare say a week, 20 plus hours into that implementation so that you really squeeze out all available or all possible performance. So let's see what actually happens here. I'm going to go ahead and go into my terminal window here. And in here, I have two files at the moment, dictionary.php and Speller. And just to show you what Speller is, let me go ahead and open Speller. Speller is also implemented in PHP. And we won't spend time going through this, but pretty much I sat down one night with the C code open, with a blank file open, and I just started translating in my own head the C code to PHP, trying for every line to call the nearest equivalent PHP function. So as an at-home exercise, definitely look through this Speller file, or if you have a printout here today, but just realize that it's almost a direct translation from C to PHP. So as such, it's a nice way of understanding how to go from one to the other. And let me point out one little thing here. You will see in a lot of interpreted languages, even though they're just written as text files with simple text editors, at the very top they have this silly thing called a shebang, a sharp, a bang, /user, /bin, /something. So this simply means when this file is executed at a command prompt, run this interpreter and pass that interpreter all of the lines below it. So it's a way of naming your files very simply, like Speller, as is the case here in my terminal window, but I don't have to specify a file extension and therefore tie myself to a specific language. I can literally just run Speller as we could in C. And thanks to that first line in the Speller file, the operating system will know what to execute. So let's go ahead and run Speller in the PHP version on CS50/pset6/dictionary, not dictionaries, texts, and then Austin Powers, for instance. So let me go ahead and run this. All right. So we've got that. Looks like there were 644 words misspelled. Words in dictionary seems to check out. And this took about half a second, so 0.53 seconds. Well, now let me go into another terminal window. In this window, I have implemented pset6 using C. So this is my C code from pset6. I've already compiled Speller, so let me do the same thing. Speller on CS50, pset6/text/Austin Powers. Enter. Whew. OK, so I'll zoom in. This is before. Whoops. Oh, I ran it the same one. This is before. Sorry, this is after. 0.03 seconds. And now if we go back to our misspellings for just a second, and run this again here, feels slower, right? We can do this really explicitly. Speller. OK, even got faster that time. Before, after. Before, after. For those who can't see in front, same story. Before, after. Before, after. So this is the price you pay. And it's not clear, perhaps, at first glance if this is now in a positive. It feels like we're about to introduce you to a really crappy language, right? Because now you can write much less code, but my God, look at the price you pay. It's an order of magnitude different. But this is a little misleading as such. So on the one hand, I'm actually doing things a little less efficiently in PHP as I could be here, because I'm just trying to make it map as closely as possible to problem set 6's C code. But also realize this. We are paying a fundamental penalty. Not the result so much of PHP, but the result of PHP being an interpreted language. Whereas C is compiled by GCC into zeros and ones that the underlying CPU understands, well, PHP is not compiled into anything. Rather, we're running a program, php.exe. We're passing it all those lines of code we just wrote, plus Speller. and saying, please figure out how to execute these. And an interpreter pretty much goes top to bottom, left to right, and converts as best it can each line into the equivalent zeros and ones, but on the fly. And if I run my speller again, the interpreter has to reinterpret it. If I run my interpreter a third time, it has to reinterpret it. So one of the disadvantages then of an interpreted language is you might be doing all this work right at the very front to interpret your program, but then you're throwing those results away because the program is not saved. It's because it's not compiled. Now let's fast forward to the context of the web. So the reality in the world of the web is that computers are not the slowest part. We have a whole internet between us and someone else across the country if we're trying to have two computers communicate. And so there's a lot of other delays that actually might mean that, you know what, it's OK if it doesn't take a split second, but 2 split seconds. All right, so we might be able to tolerate that performance penalty. And also, in web servers, which we're about to go back to, you can actually cache PHP. So you can enable a feature whereby once a PHP file is interpreted once, the computer, the web server, will actually remember how to do that again so as to save time. And so you will find that a supermajority of startups these days, of websites on the web, actually do use these high-level languages like PHP and Python and Ruby and Perl and even others, because C is the wrong language with which to implement most websites. Once you're at the point of Facebook scale, Google scale, and even a little smaller than that, certainly there are small problems that you might want to solve at the very low level with C, doing database queries or searching graphs of social networks and the like. But for implementing something that just spits out HTML and spits out a stock portfolio and even prints out your list of friends, by all means, is an interpreted language like PHP a better choice than C. Case in point, took just a few seconds to implement the entirety of a week's work. So just realize these trade-offs. So let's transition then to actually running PHP code on a web server. Right now I ran it at the command line, which is absolutely possible with one of these interpreted languages. But if I instead move my PHP files into my public_HTML directory or somewhere like that, I can actually have the web server execute my PHP code so that I, the human, no longer need to manually type commands. And this is perfect because when a user visits cs50.net, obviously we don't want a human having to run a program saying, respond to this user. It's all automated by the web server. So let's then transition back to where we left off last week on something like implementing the freshman intramural site. So let me go into my jharvard directory, public HTML, and one of the files I have in here today, it's all on the cs50.net/lectures, is froshims0.php. And this is a simple version of where we left off last week. So notice we have some familiar stuff now. Doc type just means here comes a web page written in HTML5. The HTML tag is the root element, which says to the browser more explicitly, here comes the actual web page. The head of the page comes next, then the body, and the real interesting stuff typically happens in the body of a web page. Now we haven't seen all of this HTML in detail yet, but frankly it's pretty easy to pick up as you go. Certainly just by Googling things you don't understand. Div is this invisible division of the page. Style allows you to specify some CSS, cascading style sheets. And this one kind of says it all. Text align :center means everything on this page should be centered, and so forth. So today, and henceforth, we won't focus so much on HTML, but rather how this is functioning as a dynamic website. And the most interesting tag toward that end is this guy here. So we saw forms last week. And a form has an action, which is the URL to which the form should be submitted, or partial URL if it's on the same server. And then there's two methods. And we've seen get and we've seen post. And for now, the simple distinction is get requests end up where? Where do the parameters end up? In the URL, in the address bar. And so get is generally to be avoided for anything sensitive. You don't want passwords, credit card numbers, anything personal going into the address bar with a get request, if only because it's unnecessary. 2, it then lends itself to prying eyes, roommates and such sitting down and looking at your browser history. It's just bad practice. So post is generally preferred for anything sensitive, as in the case of personal information. So what does this thing look like? Well, let's go over to a browser. I am in, recall, localhost, which refers to the appliance, /jharvard. And I'm going to go into my froshims directory, froshims0.php. And this should look familiar from last week. So register for froshims. The fact that I'm using a table is just because I wanted this to kind of line up nicely with rows and columns. But let's see what happens when I register. This form, when I click register, is going to get submitted to register0.php. So let's take a look at what we should expect there. Let me open register0. And this is actually a very simple file. So the stuff at the top, realize, is just comments. And the only reason I put my comments inside of PHP braces is just so that the user doesn't actually see the results. Realize that anytime PHP, or the web server in this case, sees open bracket question mark, those lines are going to get interpreted, and the output is going to get sent to the browser. Well, these are just comments, so there is by definition no output per se. They're not function calls. It's not printf or print or echo, so nothing ends up going. That gets stripped from the resulting web page. But the result is really just some HTML. Most of this is HTML5 except for this line, which is a new function, a very helpful function in PHP, at least for diagnostic purposes, called printr. The R is recursive. So what I'm saying here is go ahead, when you receive a request from a user, create this very, very basic web page with a head and a body, and go ahead and print recursively the contents of a special variable called $_post. And notice that this is indeed PHP because I have flanked it with the open bracket question mark on both sides here. And this is a new tag too for most of you. The pre tag just means use pre-formatted text. Use monospaced font so that it actually looks like programming code and not like Times New Roman or something like that. So this is not a useful web page yet. This is not a freshman intramural registration system. It's really just to see what's going on underneath the hood. So let me go back to my browser. And let me go ahead and type in, for instance, David, Captain, Male, Matthews. Click register. And what that web page is doing for us is simply this. It's showing us that $_post is apparently an array. And inside of it are a bunch of key value pairs. Those key value pairs are name equals David, Captain, on, gender, M, dorm, Matthews. So here's what's really powerful about languages like PHP. I didn't have to do a thing. I simply called a function that printed out the contents of a default variable that was automatically populated for me by the web server and by PHP so that now I can focus just on getting the job done that I care about, registering this user. By contrast, in a language like C, you would actually have to parse all of those HTTP headers. You would then have to figure out that, oh, the question mark means a parameter, the ampersand means multiple parameters. You would have to do all of that crazy string manipulation yourself, when now all I care about is getting real work done. And that's what these languages tend to facilitate. So interesting, too, is there was no mention of the word on in the HTML, but this is actually the convention. When you check a checkbox, the value that's sent from a browser, apparently, is literally the word on. So what are these superglobals?